you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hi, my name is Leslie Strange. I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I'm running around the house like a crazy woman because I didn't look at my calendar. So, whew, thank you very much, Glenn, for inviting me. And there was another lady that, or a person that was on here that also had something to do with me being here, and more importantly, God, and the God of my understanding or lack thereof. Glenn, how much time do I have, sir?
You have the balance of the hour if you wish.
Oh, wow.
If you run out of steam, you can just stop and we'll just open it up for sharing. So it's your choice.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'd like to start this thing off with telling you my sobriety date. It's not for bragging, it's not for ego, but it's to let someone know out there that this is possible to sustain, to get and to sustain a day at a time. I came into the rooms at 28 years old. I'm originally from Los Angeles. I'm broadcasting loud, live, and in color from Atlanta, which is where I live now. I travel a whole lot for this fellowship, and I am 62 years old now. I came in one time, November 2nd, 1988, and I got sober then at 28 years old, as I said. And when I came in here, alcohol wasn't my problem. My life unmanageability was my problem. Those people were my problem. My mother was my problem. The school, the job, and that other white substance was my problem. I came into the rooms and you guys messed up my entire alcoholic, my whole drinking. You told me alcohol is not the root of your problem, sweetheart. In fact, we're going to show you what an alcoholic really looks like. And you guys took me to the doctor's opinion and looked at the 5 classifications of an alcoholic. And then you turned around and messed me up more and says, well, which one of these 5 are you? And as I slowly looked up from the book with a tear in my eye, I said, I guess I'm all 5 of them. The psychopath, this one that goes left, that one that can't manage their lives, the girl that's good in all other respects except when it comes to drinking. And I said, well, wait a minute. What part of the deal? I'm going to sit down now because I'm standing up. What part of the deal is this? And you guys smiled at me and you were patient with me. And you told me this is alcoholism and you're in Alcoholics Anonymous. That's a lot to accept for a 28-year-old girl who went to Catholic school and who was a pretty good girl. I wasn't criminal-minded because I was too scared. I'm not a fighter because I'm too small. I didn't consider myself a thug or anything, and my mother was never on welfare, and we never had the lights out, and all the things that I thought you had to be in order to be an alcoholic. But I was mistaken. And until you took me to that book and told me, this is what it looks like. How can you identify, or have you ever done that? I was sorely mistaken on what an alcoholic is. See, I was good, and even today I find myself with my magic magnifying ego telling other people and diagnosing other people, oh yeah, you're an alcoholic. How many people got family members and you say, that's a straight alcoholic, or that uncle with those black socks on and those house shoes on during the barbecue, or them cousins that always get in a fight. Every time we have a family thing, it's that aunt and that uncle that's like, they alcoholics. They drink that brown liquor, they get to put some blues on, and it's just on and popping. You know what I'm saying? You guys can't smile because y'all looking at me like I'm crazy, but it's okay. So I'm good at saying what's an alcoholic. But they told me, take your magic magnifying eyeball off of them. Just do you. I'll tell you a little bit what it was like, what happened, and what I'm like today. What it was like was I just, I drink. Drinking was like it wasn't even an appetizer. It was just like adding a second course to a meal. That wasn't the first. My first go-to in my thinking was not that to go get a drink. My first go-to is go straight to the head, baby. Give me what I want. Give me as many as I can get. Take them all at one time. Do what we do in the other way to ingest that into my body so I can get to the place I want to be. And the place I wanted to be is to be high. I didn't want to be in this place at this time, at this moment, because I had mounds and mounds and mounds of problems on me that I couldn't solve. So I said the best way out is the ethics. I'm going to go get me one, and I ain't got to deal with you. I ain't got to deal with the job. I ain't got to deal with my friends. Whatever I thought the trouble was, I never once thought the trouble was within. I never thought for once that the trouble was me. I always thought that when I was in a relationship with a boy and he chose another girl over me, or he'd sneak around behind my back, I never thought, A, when did I do that? Or B, I never thought the fact that it wasn't personal. Maybe you have a problem picking. I never thought about God except when I needed him in a 911 situation. You know how you go, there's that break glass in case of emergency, and you'd hit that thing and pull that lever, and in businesses they have that, you know what I'm saying, or they have that thing that puts out the fire, fire extinguisher, and only time you use it or you recognize it is when there's a fire. Well, that's how God was. I'm going to break this spiritual glass because I got an emergency. All about me. God, rescue me right now in this moment. Help me. Hold on. I was working with some women. We do a 12 and 12 women's line by line. And I was working with some women yesterday. 12 and 12. It was so amazing how we are so self-absorbed and selfish and self-centered. And we were talking about the second step, which is just totally the God step. You know what I'm saying? And we were talking about the times that we used God like he was a magic genie. Like somebody gave me a little rubbing thing to rub on and make 3 wishes like he was Aladdin's lamp. And so I asked people, and I had to ask myself this, who told me that if I pray for it, God's going to give it to me? Where did I get that mindset? Where did I get that concept? Charlotte, pray for him and he'll give it to me. It's like knock 3 times on the drug dealer's door and he'll slide it through. Whatever it is. Or go to your favorite liquor store and give him $1 less, and you can go around there and get the best liquor for cheapest because they're selling it out the back door. Who told me that that's how God operates? I came in here and found out that everything I thought I knew or didn't know about God was totally backwards and confused. See, I didn't come in here to get this God thing. I just want to get that out my system. So I start out with these other dry goods to get my high on, or oblivion. I wanted to be obliterated. You know what I meant. I wanted to go to oblivion. I wanted to be off this planet. But the cold part is I just wanted to be just drunk enough or high enough, just enough, but not to die. And the thing about it, Donna, I wanted to stay here. I wanted to just stay here, especially when you hit that sweet spot in your drunkenness and you're like, yeah, this is it. I'm not nauseous. I don't have a headache. Oh, yeah, right here. I just want to stay right here. And then all of a sudden you start coming down like, oh, wait. So I got to go get some more, to take a drink, to come back up. And this happened over and over and over and over and over. The other part I like to share is the God of the understanding that the priests and the nuns gave me. I'm a recovering Catholic. I would love to see some of your faces on here because I think I've talked to about 4 or 5 of you, but I'm not running nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's like inviting somebody to your house and you go into the bedroom and close the door, but that's just Leslie Strange. I'm bold like that, but it's okay. I love you. Hi, Nancy. How are you, Punkin? I just like attention. I have defects of character, so shoot me in my toe. I love you. So when I come into Catholic school, you told me if I pray to this God that he will grant me all my wishes. That's where I got mine from. Not only that, you told me also about this God, if I don't ask forgiveness, I'm going to hell in a handbasket. I'm going to hell, and I'm going to burn in hell for the rest of the eternity of life. Now, I'm already a kid, number 1. Number 2, I'm already afraid of death. Number 2. And then number 3, you're going to tell me I'm going to hell every time I think a sin? Bill, did you ever tell somebody if you think it's a sin, if you think about it and it's a sin, you did it, even though you didn't do it? That's frightening. So you're telling me that I can control my thinking. Oh, don't think about that old sexy Scott over there. Oh, don't think about Scott. Oh, you thought, oh, you're going to hell. Look at Scott. Scott ain't paying me no attention. That's the way I thought. That's the way I was taught to think. So my last one, I had all the alcohol I wanted. I had all the dry goods I wanted. I had all the cigarettes I wanted. I had everything set up perfectly, and I was with one of my friends. And by that time, I'm in motels at this time. By that time, I wasn't going out partying and dancing anymore. I was in my early 20s. I was partying, dancing. I was out. As long as I was out in society, I seemed to be managing alcohol. But once that shut down, and I started shutting down and being in a little bitty room and being in not afraid to come out and starting to call in sick from work and not showing up like I normally would. No more plays, no more museums, no more concerts, none of that. Not seeing my mom who lived a mile and a half away, just isolating and drinking. Digging in the bottom of trash cans and swishing around the can or the bottle to see if there's anything, if I could hear anything in there, and then taking a swig of cigarette butts and ashes. It didn't matter. I just wanted something. And that last run ended up with me trying to get drunk but couldn't. I had everything there. And God took me and walked me away from a pile of the dry goods and a big old bunch of alcohol, and I told my friend, I want to go home. I'm done. I want to go home. He looked at me. We just started. Donna, it's Friday night. Ain't got to go to work. You got everything you need. Can you imagine walking away from that? See, I used to take pride in that. I walked away from all that, you know what I'm saying? But today I come to understand it was just grace. I hadn't studied no steps. I didn't know nothing about no big book. Didn't know nothing about AA except it was on TV. Didn't know nothing about a sponsor. Didn't know nothing about praying. Prayer, all I knew was the Our Father and the Hail Mary because I went to Catholic school. None of that. I didn't have none of the tools you guys tell me to get me sober and to stay sober. I didn't have none of that. What was it that stopped me that last day, Amy? That last day that to put the brakes on it, and then I didn't drink the next day and the next day. I call that grace. The window of grace cracked open, and the breeze of God sucked me through. And it was timing, and it was just the universe coming into agreement, and something inside me, I don't know what it is, that brought me to that grace moment. Now, grace has always been there. I just never stepped through the window. I never stepped through the window. Now, I can't tell you how exactly that moment came. What was it? I can't break it down in the language that's understandable or comprehensive, but I know for a fact it wasn't the norm for an alcoholic girl like me. Grace. And so I suddenly ended up finding myself in a meeting with my mother. After visiting a hospital and getting checked because I was having some heart problems, because I've ravaged my body, my insides are torn up, I'm 80 pounds, I'm not eating, I'm going through a depression, I'm manic, I'm all over the place, I'm scared and I'm ashamed, so I don't want anybody to see me in this condition, I'm 4 shades darker, I'm just horrible. And I go to my meetings and I meet you guys. See, I'm an alcoholic like this today. Today I have such a big compassion for people who are new. That's why I make it my duty to smile and tell you, hi, baby. How you doing? What's up, Amy? I like your bed. You're so pretty when you smile. See, stuff like that. That's what they did for me. See, I'm not going to come in here that old timer like this. Yeah, so then I got sober and I read on page 552. And I'm not that girl because isn't this a program of attraction? Well, damn it, make it look sexy. Well, that's for me. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. But I like to bring the newcomers be like, whoa, I want to be like that. I said, don't be like me. Be better than me. You can have a life beyond your wildest dreams. Come on, get on this dream journey with me. So how I got into the programs and the steps and all, and I'm going to tell you some things that coincide with the language in the big book that I've gone through. See, it's one thing to quote the book and tell you and give you a 4-step workshop in this little 40 minutes I have left or whatever I have left. It's one thing to tell you what the God says and what the big book says and give you the history of Bill and Bob, but give me something I can cling to, something I can identify with, something I can say, yeah, you did that too, and I can say, yep, and we can both look stupid together. I love that. I love that. So when I came into the rooms, the first thing they did, they showed me their faces, they showed me their smiles, they invited me to come on and go with the meetings, the coffee after the meeting, after the coffee after the meeting, and sit in there, and they told funny, humorous, horrific stories about how they got caught by the FBI and SWAT was outside. Or there was one guy who told a wonderful story. He said every time he happened to move from one apartment to another, the people upstairs always moved with him, and he was on a one-story apartment. See, I like those psychotic, crazy stories. They're hysterical. And they laugh, and I was like, ooh, you crazy? And I'm sitting up there, a newcomer, telling them they were crazy. And they just say, yeah, we crazy. I love that. That's why we tell our stories. I was talking to a newcomer on the phone because she couldn't find a meeting. She was freaking out. I just met her last night, and we were talking. And she said, oh, my God, I'm so freaked out. I can't eat. I got 2 days sober. This is horrible. And I said, baby, you crazy? Just like me. By the time we finished that 30 minutes, she said, girl, you got the obsession was gone. She said, I'm struggling. She texted me, I'm struggling 3 times on a text. I had to call her. I said, girl, you ain't struggling. You picked the right, wrong, crazy ass to call. And we laughed about our behavior. I said, oh, so you one of them alcoholics, every time you get drunk, she says, I'm real tiny, but she likes to fight men. I said, oh, yeah, stay right here, baby, because you... Woo. She said, I said, you break out in handcuffs every time you get drunk, huh? You don't break out in allergy. You break out in handcuffs and cell block D and in front of the judge one more time. Well, thank you for telling me you crazy. And we laughed. Well, that's what you guys did for me. So I started going to meetings, and one meeting would lead to another meeting because you guys love spreading the news of what a meeting is. And I'd go to this meeting, and that same group would navigate to another meeting. Oh, Thursday night is a good meeting over here. We'd navigate to that meeting, and we'd bounce between fellowships, AA and the other fellowship, and we would do these meetings back and forth, and I found a fellowship of people who loved me, and y'all made me feel so cute. I had to get dressed up to go to a meeting. See, if you drink like me and you've been in the house so long, you ain't dressed up, fixed up, combed your hair, you ain't took a shower and who knows when, you smell like ooh-wee, and it's like, oh my God, I get somewhere to get dressed up for. Look at Charlotte. Not to pick out anybody else, but look at Charlotte. God, well, no, she didn't do that. Yes, she did. Dude, you know what I'm saying? I dress up for the occasion because it's a big, beautiful life party. That's just me. It makes me feel better. I know it's an inside job, but sometimes for me, it works from the outside in. So I do stuff like this. I used to go to the meetings, and there was boys. Amy, Alyssa, there was boys. Oh, my God. Tall ones, fat ones, thin ones, short ones, but they wasn't drinking. Girl, excuse me. I became the recovery prostitute. I'll say that nicely. Now, I don't know about you, but the next thing I get after I get sober is I need to get a man. I don't know about you, but I have to have a boyfriend. Which, of course, led to me getting pregnant, which, of course, led to me getting married. Sober. See, I did the same thing in the room. Even though I was separated from alcohol, I still have the alcoholism. So I did the same thing in the rooms that I did in the streets. They call it promiscuity. That's a nice word. You know what we call it on the street. And I did the same thing because my value system, my barter system was with my body and my looks. That's all I had to barter with, and I just wanted to make sure, Tori, that you won't leave me if I do it just like that, because I wanted to play God. I took hostages, and I took, man, I'm shutting it down. We're going to be together. We go together whether you like it or not. And what resulted in that marriage was a divorce based on his behavior. He was untreated alcoholic, had been going to meetings, stopped going to meetings, stopped working on his spiritual growth. I had done my steps before I left. I had 18 months. I did the whole shebang, 4-step, as many amends as I could, and within 24 hours of that 4 through 9, I was on a non-stop flight to Lufthansa to Mannheim, Germany. 1.5 years sober. Brand new husband, brand new baby. I flew to Germany, and I lived there for 2 years during Desert Storm. How did I maintain my sobriety? Well, I didn't like the meetings too much because I couldn't understand their deep German accents, and I didn't like them giving out chips that looked like poker chips, and I'm still new, so I'm still picking the meeting apart, and I said, well, you know what? Y'all said contingent upon my spiritual maintenance, so my spiritual maintenance went to something else, which that made me pray a lot and attend a lot and be of service a lot and show up a lot. And for those of you who don't understand, that is church. That's what I did back then. Now, I'm all the way from Los Angeles, California. I'm all the way in Germany, living. But I took that new God that you guys shared with me over there. And I did a whole lot of stuff, and I did a whole lot of running. But the amazing thing about it all, I still had a sponsor in the States. Let me tell you what was so, let me talk about sponsorship. Sponsorship is like so, I'm 33 years in, y'all. I'm one that does not, refuses not to be sponsored. I don't care if I'm 33 years, 33,000 years, if I stay that long, if I live that long, 33 days, I have to be, I need a spiritual advisor. I need someone to guide me through my thinking. Because you guys told me my disease centers in my thinking. I said, wait a minute, what do you mean? They said, you're thinking, you're thinking, you're thinking. So I started going through that practice of what does that look like? What does that look like? My head will tell me something that's a total lie, and I'll believe it. It's like Alyssa's looking at me. She don't like me. I can see the look on her face. She's just really not ready to be here. She ain't listening. Now, listen, Alyssa, you ain't doing nothing. I'm just using you as an example, so don't do nothing, baby. Don't leave. Please stay right here for me. I love you. Thank you for smiling. And my head has built a whole story about Alyssa, and I don't know her except for right now through Zoom. What? You ever walk into a place and you think you real cute and you just took all your time, men too, you got your hair shaved, you got your beard done, you got your cool suit on, Glenn, you looking all sexification and stuff. Sexification, I made that up. And you looking all cool, and all of a sudden, yeah, you say you go in there and you look at the mirror when you walk out, you say, oh, I'm gonna kill the ladies tonight, and you get up in there and none of us look at you. Ain't nobody paid no attention to Glenn in his tuxedo. So now Glenn walks away talking about, they didn't like me, they don't know the quality. Either his ego goes way to the ceiling talking about they missed a good one, or his ego, or his esteem drops to the floor. What's wrong with me? How come Bill got more to look at and winks than I did? How come he could get these girls? See, it's something about my thinking that likes to cause disruption. My thinking likes me to be confused and is addicted to drag and drama and BS. My thinking likes me to feel bad about me, God's creation. My thinking is the crux of my disease. There's something about my thinking, which is my ego, that tells me that you're not enough. And what they talk about in the book is that psychic change, that psychic shift, that thinking shift. Well, how do you get that, Leslie? Well, they told me to get rid of the garbage that's blocking me from the Most High, the spirit of the universe, or whatever you want to call it, or even if you don't want to call it anything. You know atheists get sober too. Oops, did I say that? Because, see, I'm of the agnostic temperament. See, I had to diagnose myself. See, they say, well, how does an atheist get sober? We in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I'm just going to go by what the book said, we don't, the second step in the 12 and 12 says, we don't say you have to get any kind of God. We just use the word, this is Leslie's part, this is me saying this, we just use the word God like you call a spoon a spoon. We just use the word God to describe that thing that's running this universe, and it ain't me. And I started dwelling more and more on what is this thing that has me breathing without my permission? What is this thing that saved me from death so many times that I didn't even know it? What is this thing that protects me in spite of me? I don't know what it is, y'all, and I stopped trying to figure it out. I just know it's bigger than me, and it ain't me. So I got a sponsor, and the sponsor goes a little like this, friends. It's the power outlet that connects me to all of this stuff. We're on Zoom, and Carlell's got a ceiling fan, which means there's electricity going on, and she paid a bill. That's good to know. And Nancy's got her iPhone, and she's sitting out on her beautiful patio. That means she paid a bill. And But some of these things need plugs in them. Not the ceiling fan, but they need plugs to plug into the wall, like to charge your phone or to charge your iPad or to even plug in the TV and turn on the computer. And sometimes we don't, whoever built my house don't have enough plugs and sockets in different places. So sometimes I have to get an extension to plug this stuff into. In fact, I have to get what's called a power strip. You can get them with 2, 4, or 6 outlets. And you plug all this stuff into the power strip and plug that power strip into the wall so all my stuff can work. Right? You follow me? I like analogies, so watch this. But on that power strip, and men know a little bit more, I'm just going to say, I assume men know a little bit more about it. On that power strip is a power surge protector. Now, I'm sitting up here and I'm real creative like that. So what would I need a power surge protector for? First of all, I got the power strip because I can't plug into the power sometimes because I'm so full of self and self-centeredness and self-seeking and selfishness and all about me that I forget that I'm not God. So ego creeps back in. No matter how many times I do a 10-step, a 4-step, an 8-step, a 9-step, my ego rebuilds itself as soon as I give it a break. So I get someone who can plug into the power when I can't hear or see or get nothing from the power I'm supposed to be connected to. And that thing, the power strip, is my sponsor. My sponsor always happens to have the right answer at the right time. She resets me. It's the reset button when I'm disturbed and I'm so full of me I can't see or hear God. I can't get the answer. I have to have somebody to help the reset button in my soul. To get me back on track. To remind me and to remember me back to the spirit of the universe because I get disconnected. Oh, that just came out so good. I don't know where that came from. Whew, that was good. I don't know about y'all, but that was good to me. I got, hold on, water. Hold on. Thank you, Nancy, for laughing because I think I'm hysterical. I don't know about y'all. But anyway, I'm extra. I know it. But the power surge protector is when the ego kicks in and I start running stuff. I start trying to manage and control your life, my kids' life, my sponsee's life, my brother's life, my best friend's lives, and even my own. I told you that ego builds back up. And only through humility and constant surrender and constant 11-step prayer and meditation, not just in the morning, not just in the afternoon, not just in the evening, but constantly thinking about God and what can I do and where is it? It is here. I'm looking outside this window in my kitchen and I see the wind blowing. You know what? I can't. You know what? You ever try to catch air? See, these are the small thoughts that go through my insane mind. You ever try, Nancy, you ever get a jar that's got a top on it, like a coffee mug, and then hold it up, and then put the top on it real quick, and then hand it to one of the kids, and the kid's gonna look at you like, what is this? Ain't nothing in it. Who said there's nothing in it? There's something in it. You just can't see it. Bam, that's how I talk about God. Ooh, that was a good one. Why do I have to know? Why do I have to... Absolutely, and get into arguments about the spirit of the universe and God, and if you don't do your steps this way, you're going to drink and die, and if you don't hurry up and get somebody to sponsor you, how it needs to be, if you don't hurry up and get somebody to sponsor, you're going to die, you're going to drink again. I'm not wearing this thing that tight. I can't. And how dare I tell you what to do when I've messed up so much? Let me give you some of my mess ups in sobriety. I didn't know all this time that once I do 1 through 12, then I'm going to be fighting with 6 and 7 the rest of my life. 6 and 7 is the defects and shortcomings I'm going to be fighting with for the rest of my life, They like to call them the 7 deadly sins, and we can always add extras to them and call those defects and shortcomings a whole bunch of things. But just for simplicity's sake, like the 12 and 12 said, we'll just call them the 7 deadly sins. And in between each and defects, in between each one of them, what sews them together and make them a tight knot? Fear. Every time, if you sit back and watch Amy, unless I'm talking to the women, the men, y'all already do your thing. and I can't pronounce Bahask. What's up, B? Anyway, him. I sat up and I thought about it one day, and I said, you know what? Fear is the food that feeds my resentments. Fear is the food that feeds my defects. Fear is the food that feeds my misconduct sexually. Fear is the food that feeds my lack of wanting to make amends. I'm scared of everything. Did you know that fear is the main thing that's the problem? Because when I'm afraid, I'm not relying upon God. It's all upon self-reliance. God almighty, I did not know that till I was today years old. I did not know, Steve, that I was so full of fear that I was either screwing stuff up or I was paralyzed and wouldn't do nothing. 6 and 7 are the core problems with me constantly. When I'm in fear, like at work, when I used to work at CDC, yeah, I used to work there. But look, when I worked at CDC, I was so afraid of losing my job. This is how I do my fear. I'm so afraid that I'm going to lose my job, so I double down and I work twice as hard and overexert myself and stress myself out by bringing my computer home after my 8 hours to do some more work that I'm not getting paid for, and I'm so full of fear that if I don't get ahead of the work, then they're going to call me in the office and then they're going to fire me. Check out this fear. So if they fire me, then I won't have no job. Listen to me carefully. Now, if they fire me, I won't have no job. That means I won't have no income or no benefits. Now, if they fire me, I don't have no job and no income and no benefits, then I won't have a house to stay in, then I'll be homeless. And then if I'm homeless, then I end up being a prostitute or going down to one of these Atlanta strip clubs at 61 years old trying to make it clap and trying to make it rain and all that kind of stuff, sliding down a pole. And then I'll be old and then I won't make no money because don't nobody want no old hooker. So then, and then I won't have nowhere to stay. So I'll end up somewhere on Skid Row in Atlanta and smoking and drinking and die. I just went through a whole bunch of fear behind a job, and guess what? I wasn't on probation. I wasn't under a warning. Wasn't nobody saying nothing bad to me. I hadn't messed up anything. My head took me to homelessness and death. If you sit back and watch how fear train will take you, I asked my sponsors, okay, so if that happens, then what'll happen? Well, then, you know, if I get drunk and I die. Okay, so if you die, then what'll happen? Well, my kids will be messed up and they'll become drunk and then they'll die. And then what'll happen? And when I discovered, I said, you know what? Fear is the future. When I'm in fear, I'm all the way in next week, next month, next year. Now, resentments represent the past. So if I'm in the past and I'm in the future, it is 39 minutes after the hour, wherever you are. This is the exercise that I do when I get full of fear. I've been terrified during the pandemic. I'm going to get loaded. I'm in this house by myself. I ain't got no money. I have no income. I'm going to lose my house. The whole thing that's a real fear for me. It is 40 minutes after the hour. Where's 39 minutes after the hour, friend? Where's 39 minutes after the hour? I have to think like that. Well, it's past. Okay. So where's 41 minutes? It's not here yet? Pretty much. So all I got, if you want to know where God is or the Most High is, He's right here. He's right here in the 40 minutes of the hour. Right here. Blinders, stay right here. And there's so much comfort in the right here and the right now. I can relax my shoulders. I can stick my back up. I can hold my head up because I'm safe right here, right now. The alcoholic like me likes to time travel. I like to go into the future because it makes me God, and I can predict and I can project. Now, it doesn't mean I can't plan, but when I do plan, it's a prayer. And I ask God, if it's your will, may this happen. And if it's not, may I accept your will. Those type of nuggets are little things that I do even today. Another thing that I do because of the results of me. Another thing I do, when I open my eyes, I don't get on my knees because I can't. First of all, I got hardwood floors and I'm old. I'm not getting on my knees praying for nothing. I won't be able to get back up. That's why I can't drop it like it's hot no more. I just, lower it like it's warm until my knees say stand up. But anyway, that's me. Shut up, Lisa B. So I lay in the bed with my sponsor's permission, and I lay there and I open my eyes, and before she starts thinking, I thank God for the day. I thank Him for letting me stay with us during the night. I thank Him for everything that's coming down this day. I tell Him my agenda, and I say, this is what I'd like to do today, if it's your will, God. And more importantly, if you have to do a commercial break, a station interruption, breaking news of a newcomer who sounds like they want to drink today, God, help me to help them. Thy will, not mine, be done. And I lay there for a second. I reflect. No deep and burning candles. I don't meditate like that because I'm hyper, as you can see. So for me to sit down long enough just to do that is a miracle. And then I do that, and then when I do, now I have permission to get out the bed and roam the cabin of life. You ever been on an airplane and that bell goes ding, and you see that symbol of the 2 seat belts like this? And the captain comes on and says, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to experience some turbulence, so would you please return to your seats and put on your seat belt? He knows the turbulence is coming. We ain't hit it yet because he got these little gadgets and stuff on his thing, on his whatever that thing is, and he could tell it's coming. And when the turbulence is over, then he says, ladies and gentlemen, you can unbuckle your seat belts and roam the cabin of life, or the cabin of the plane freely. Me getting up in the morning, acknowledging the Most High, thanking Him for whatever it is He will do, has done, and is taken away from me, it's like being given permission to roam about the cabin of life without killing nobody, killing myself, putting sugar in his gas tank, putting bleach in his clothes, stabbing myself, or going to jail. Now I can roam about the cabin of life knowing that I'm of service and I'm available. Boy, that's so easy and sexy. That's so easy and sexy. And when I say sexy, I'm not saying it is sexy. It's just cute. How dare I get out of bed without asking God's permission? I did it so much. I've been saved by grace so much. Let me give you some saved by grace moments. So I had an affair on that husband, and I started dealing with this dude, and the dude convinced me to move to Atlanta because he came here for a job interview, and I left my husband, and I sold my house in L.A., and I brought my 2 kids that were 2 and 12 years old, and I brought them here with this man, and this man was everything to me. I didn't know that defect of lust would come out looking like it did, but that's what it was. But let me show you how God worked. He took a defect and made it an asset. Because that man ended up leaving me for another woman and having children. I was broken. It wasn't enough meetings. Wasn't enough phone calls with my sponsor. Did I tell my sponsor everything I was going to do while I was doing it? Absolutely. But there's something called self-will run riot. Oops. And she said, baby, I'm going to love you no matter what you choose to do. And I chose to come here with that man. And I stayed sober through it. Now, it took me a whole lot to recover, but I stayed sober through it. With God's grace and the foundation that you guys gave me. I was able to pick myself up with God's help and with this program. I got the fellowship I crave in Atlanta. I started meeting people and doing just what I did in L.A., what you taught me. Go to meetings, sit in meetings, be of service, get into the steps. And I had a sponsor through it all. On May 17, 2017, my brother lives in Milwaukee now, and I live in Atlanta. And we were on the phone waiting on Mother's Day for my mother to wake up. She was in Los Angeles in a boarding care, a beautiful facility. And my brother gets a phone call. And in that phone call, they told him my mother wouldn't wake up. He comes back on the line. He's babbling. I can't understand him. I can't understand what he's saying. And I said, what's wrong? He said, Mom won't wake up. I said, tell him. I said, wake her up. The denial, I couldn't understand. My mother had died in her sleep. On Mother's Day, May 17th. But let me tell you about the delusion and the lie and addicted to self-pity and y'all feeling sorry for me. I, on Mother's Day, from 2017 until last year, would always celebrate my mother's death on Mother's Day. Now, y'all know Mother's Day shows up on a different day every year, right? I came to the conclusion that I've been lying so I can lay in some depression, sadness, and self-pity instead of celebrating the life of my mother. I would lay in that state of sadness on Mother's Day when it might be the 22nd or the 25th of Mother's Day is on the 31st, and I'm still staying on the 17th of 2017. And something in my aha moment said, God said, that's a lie. See, I like to rationalize, justify, and die for an excuse to feel bad. So you guys can feel sorry for me. So I can get sympathy and empathy. Because I'm prey to misery and depression because I'm an alcoholic. And I suffer from alcoholism. The next thing, my oldest son had a nervous breakdown. He's a former veteran of the United States Army. He was a Black Hawks engineer. He already suffered from slightly mental issues, but they took him into the Army anyway. I saw the light go from his eyes. I saw him having suicidal ideation. And I told him, son, something's wrong with you, because God gave me that insight as a mother. And he went and got some help. And I had to go visit this young man on a 72-hour hold with a paper suit on, where his hair matted to his head. And he's not looking the same. His mouth is dry. He looked horrible. He looked like a walking, living dead. And I cried because nothing hurts more for a mom than to be powerless. Nothing hurts more than a child of an adult child of a mother nothing hurts more when my hands are empty and there's nothing I could do. But I had that one thing, that nameless thing, that formless one, whatever you call it, that thing called God. And I had you people to call and talk to my sponsor. And sometimes I'd just sit on the phone and cry. And we wouldn't exchange no words. We just sat on the phone. I've had times when I didn't know if I was going to make it. My blood pressure shot up high, and I have a small frame, and I don't eat bad for some unknown reason. My blood pressure is stroke level, and I go to the hospital, and they give me some blood pressure medication. So what I do is I know that the body is fighting for me to do well and to heal me. So I started taking better care of myself, and during the pandemic, when everybody was getting fat and out of shape, you know what happened to Leslie Strange? Leslie Strange says, I know what. I don't have no money. I can't go to no gym. I started walking. And I put some spiritual tapes in my ears. I play YouTube with Bob Darrell and Polly P. And I'd walk around the subdivision, and I'd walk, and I lost 25 pounds. Right now you see 135 pounds and very, 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 very small doses of blood pressure medication and a spirit that helps heal me because I cooperated with the spirit. I'm going to say this. This is a cooperation program. This is a program of cooperation. I can't be in a business with Steve P. and I'm stealing from the business all the time. You know what I'm saying? Let's say me and Steve B. gonna get into a lady shoe, you know, I had to pick the worst thing, a lady shoe business, and we're partners, 50-50 down the line, and every time he looks up, I'm walking out with a brand new pair of shoes. I ain't told him nothing, I ain't said nothing, then I'm going to get some money out the bank, and I'm doing all this stuff, and he's looking at me, and we losing money, and he's looking at me. What kind of partner am I? So what should Steve do? Get a new partner. Get a new damn partner. I done told you once, I done told you twice, Leslie, get a new partner. Well, that's me. My partnership with me failed miserably. I had to get a new partner and get to learn what's good and what's not so good, what's right and what's not so right with this partner, because this partner is more than 50-50. He's 90-10. He's got 90% of ownership of me and all that I do. And my 10% is to seek him and seek higher and help others. My sponsor told me, she said, the reason why you're disconnected from the power greater than you is because you're so full of you can't hear him, see him, or feel him. You need to clear away that block between you and God, those resentments, those fears, that sex inventory, that attitude of defiance and belligerence and the bigotry and the contempt, pride, investigation. You need to clear all that crap up, and I bet you'll have a solid connection with God, but you still need a sponsor. So what I do today is I'm of service. I sponsor anybody that I can, the best that I can. If I can't get with you, I send you to one of my girls. Because my thing is about pushing you through this process, but I can't teach you how to throw your hands up. What does this look like? This is the universal hands of surrender. We can't teach you how to surrender. We can't teach you how to stop. We can't teach you how to get started. All we can show you is what happened to us and take you through the book and take you through the steps the best we can. The surrender, the desperation, and the willingness, that's all on you and your higher power. Step through the crack of the window of grace and see what your power can do for you. My name is Leslie Strange, and I'm a recovering alcoholic, and thank you so much for tolerating me.